Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am the Motorcycle Rescuer and this is Motorcycle Rescuer. So yes, welcome back. I've been off my game a little bit the last few weeks. I've been quite mentally busy. And I think lots of you understand that out there actually. Lots of you kind of have similar issues with mental health at times. And that's okay. I mean, I haven't been shocking, just not on top of my game. I haven't really had much focus on my bikes. But today, I've got plenty parts to focus on this CBF. Now, I've got a new front headlight, which I'll show you in a bit. I've got a full ignition set, including tank cap, new handlebars down there, and a rear panel. And I was meant to have these side panels, but the company I used were a bit sly actually. I ordered the rear panel and the two side panels, and it was all a bit picky. I was trying to get, they were charging £7 each delivery. I was trying to kind of get them to understand that they just had to pack it all together, but it was a bit picky. Anyway, long story short, they've only sent me one left side panel or right side panel on the side and the rear, and they've said, oh, we couldn't find the other one, so we've sent you a better version of the right one. And I said, well, hang on a minute. That's cost me £20 extra. I was meant to have a whole different panel. So at the moment I'm in a bit of a battle with them about either getting a refund or them actually just finding the panel. Ultimately, I like the clean cut look of this bike. I'm not too fussed about these side panels actually. This, I'll show you later that this will flow. Once the rear panel's on and the light and the front is set up and the handlebars, you'll see that this bike flows quite well. Once we've got bits and pieces like that done, then this is going to be a great bike. So new handlebars. I just got straight Renfalls. I got smalls. I thought I ordered mediums. I prefer a little bit taller. I thought I ordered mediums, but I ordered smalls. Not the end of the world. It will look fine. It'll run fine. I'm going to cut this off. We don't need this crap. Get rid of. If it's not working, get rid of it. And now on the CBFs I used to work on, they must have been the year before this. This structure wasn't the same. This is quite busy. So, because what I used to do is basically cut it. It had a square frame here, and I used to just cut that all back, leave this arm, and then bend this arm forward a bit, so that these all just came in a bit, but still, you know, still cleared this, and it was a bit neater. What I can do on this occasion though is try and get the light mounted just a bit more out, but basically this system is different to the one I've worked on before, and I need all this because that's the only way to hang it safely. You see, it's rock solid from the frame, so I'm going to think about that. It might just be a couple of taps with a hammer and getting it kind of in a bit, maybe chopping these bits off with a hacksaw. Again, it's not a huge issue. And of course I need to get in there anyway because I need to get the ignition out, which I don't know what holds that on, if I'm being honest, at this stage. A few bolts maybe. So we're going to have to kind of play around and see what we're working with. Maybe I'll drop these two bolts to give me some space to work with, and we'll get the ignition on first. It's just these two wires here, that's what powers it, so there'll be a plug behind here. I'm going to have to lift the tank, drop the tank, and then use that and just plug and play with that part as long as I can get it up here. There. So I think for now I'm going to strip down the front, just hang this all loose. So these bolts here, hang this all loose. Let me get into the ignition system, ideally swap it over, ideally put this back on, get a little bit of bend in it so that it's a bit more forward. A hammer might just do that. I can take off the clocks if needed at that time. Front light mounting. Now all the wires are here, so the front light mounting shouldn't be much issue at all. So let's get going on that. If you look straight away, guys, it just becomes a completely different bike. You remove all that crap off the front end. This is what makes Street Fighters exactly what they are. You know, it'd be very tempting to get a little clock for this for 20 quid, because it's a twist-in one. It's on a speedo drive. I'm going to consider that. For now, I'll carry on with this plan though, because the originals are handy. They've got everything on them. Maybe even including a fuel gauge. Yeah. So the other thing I'm not sure about at the moment, guys, is where the front indicators would lie. I can't see anything that would be front indicators, and that's a little bit frustrating. What you can do is you can run the indicators from the rear all the way down. So find the wires from the rear, run them all the way down, and reconnect them to the front. That really isn't the end of the world at all. And that's what I'll do if I can't find anything in this harness to show indicator wiring. I've got these two here. That looks more horn to me. Is there a horn on this one? There's one there, and it has its wires actually. So, what would that connect to? That's not indicator. It could be, but it's definitely not. Don't know. This is the kind of stuff we need to work out. Right, so I need to get the ignition off. That's the main thing for me at this stage. I need to get this out because I need to put the new one in, and I have no idea how to. I'll try these two screws first. I think they will take off the cap, and then we'll see what we're working with. So it looks to me like you've got to remove the top yoke to get in to change the barrel. Now let me tell you what's annoying about that. It runs on two bloody wires. Two wires that you can cut and twist together. Why make it so hard to take the new ignition off when you've made it so easy to hot wire the damn bike? Extremely frustrating. So top yoke needs to come off. Fine, I mean we're messing with all that anyway. I'll take the handlebars, I'll hang them down. But originally on kind of other bikes, you'd normally get this far in, take the plastics off, and you'd have two 10s or 8s just sticking up that you'd take off and it would drop out. But I can see that this one is fully in. It's basically in the frame, the bolts are back there, and that's how it's held on. At least it will be, you know, properly secure once done. So I've got to take all this off, which is fine, hang it all loose, get it all out the way, get this top nut off. How do these work? Are they holding it on? Interesting. I'm going to have to work this out. So on this particular bike, these nuts were holding the yoke on as well. However, they're also top nuts to the suspension. If you're ever doing that, be very careful. I was very wary that this could spring up. You just never know depending on the design of the bike, okay? So, yeah, so be very wary. This should have a separate system underneath holding in the oil and the spring. But just be wary if you're ever doing anything on the top yoke like that and you had to remove them nuts. Just keep it in mind that you need to be a bit careful. It should be now. Pop this off, pull it forward, undo the old one, drop it, new one in, run the wire down. It should then have a switch. New cap comes with the system, new rear seat lock comes with the system. So let's pop this off. Let's see if it's as easy as that. Let's check the new one, make sure it's all there and in working order, and we'll chuck that on if it is. Okay guys, we've got the front of the bike stripped. There's no particular order of this. I'm going to put the handlebars on first, followed by the clocks, to then kind of see how I can work the lights onto this. I'm going to trim off anything I'm not using, cut all that off, we don't need any of that. And I think I'm going to run the wiring from the rear indicators to the front to be able to get the indicators back. That's the easiest route at this stage for me. So it looks quite daunting at this stage. There's the bars, they're very, very bent. New bars are much straighter. It can be a bit of a pain putting on bars. Basically, you don't nip anything down until the end. You just put it all on loose. And actually, some bars have holes drilled in them. This one. So you've got these here. These are locating lugs. So you might need to transfer them across to the new ones. You will need to, and that's fine. Just a cheap drill bit and a cheap drill will do that for you. You can file down the locating lugs. Let me show you one somewhere. There'll be one on here. There's one there. It's that rusty bit at the bottom. That's a locating lug. You can file that down, chip that away, pull that off. However, you might find that your switch gear and your throttle turns on the bars. It won't be as professional. You can put tape under it and you can do all stuff like that. But if you can drill the hole, then that saves you a whole load of hassle. So I think for me, next step, handlebars on. I can't even remember what colour I ordered, if I'm being honest. I don't know what I'm opening. But let's get them on. Let's get them as set up as possible. And then we're kind of looking in, you know, we're moving in the right direction. This is what we're working with at the moment. This is the fun part for me, guys. I love this part. The dressing up of the bikes. Okay, guys. So at this stage, it's all kind of on loosely. Because you don't nip it up until everything's on. So that you know your cabling and wiring and stuff works. Now I go back to thinking that the big clock just doesn't work on this bike, and for what, 20 quid a smaller clock would make more sense. It's definitely something to consider for me. I'm going to see actually if I can get the light fitted with the frame on. That will be fine. If not, I'm going to look into what I can do. So I am going to carry on today. I need all this kind of nipped down. I need to put like little covers back on there, etc. And I think the clocks will need to be on so that we know what we're working with underneath in regards to the lighting. So that's kind of the next steps from here. It's a cool looking little bike at this stage. These handlebars work well. They're silver and black. I don't know what colour I ordered, but they're fine. They work. And they really give it some presence actually. I thought they might be a little bit too long, and they still might be. If they are, I'll chop them down a touch. There's no issues there at all. So I've got the frame off for the clocks here. I've just started chopping here. I'm going to chop this bit off to give me a little bit more space. And while this is up in the air, I'm going to try and bend it back a tiny bit more forward a tiny bit more. Just to give me a bit more space down there for when the light's down there. So we're taking off this bracket here because there's no fairing, and I want to bend this forward a touch. I'll just flatten it on the floor, put a hammer on that bit there, and I'll put it forward a tiny little bit to give me a bit more space. That's worked well for me in the past. The bike handlebars is kind of good and set up. They look good. I like them. They work really well. The front end of this bike should be done fairly soon. I also found some wiring down here, which is likely to be the indicators. We've got a blue, an orange, and then a double green. That's going to be left, right, and earth. So I'm pretty sure we can get the indicators set up. I've got a set of indicators at home, so I can grab them, put them on the front. I'll put them on the brackets for the front light, and then you'll have the front system set up, which will be all good. So honestly, this is going really well today. So far I'm very pleased. I haven't plugged in the ignition yet, but I just have to get under the tank and literally plug and play. We also have a steering lock back, which is great news. So good, I'm going to hack away. I'll keep you guys updated. I haven't got my stand. My stand's busted. I think I stood on it or something. I need to get a good solid stand at some point made out of metal. But honestly, it's nothing you guys haven't seen before. It's all taking bits off and replacing. You know, there's nothing new here for you. So it's more about the progress of the bike. So let me get this cut and mounted, and then I'll see if and how and where I can mount the light so that it looks successful. Okay guys, let's catch you up. Where am I? I'm down here. So sometimes it's the small bits of fabrication that cause the most problems. So I've spent an hour or two now making this bracket work. Now there's two things I've done. I filed down these bits more because currently when it's fitted like this, the headlight scrapes on it and we can't have that at all. And the second thing I've done is I've moved these bolt holes, so this should go a little bit further on to there, and hopefully I can use my new bolt holes and it should all just be kind of pushed in a little bit more, as long as it literally slides on and works. It may not. I may need to give it a little bit of convincing with a hammer. And then of course the other thing is this bit here can't touch there because that also moves. So it might be that I need to go back, bend it back a bit again, take this off. So I need this bit to kind of go in and be able to bolt, which should be okay maybe. And then I'm going to need this to be bent back again so that it's not touching that. So we're getting there, and then we can have the light kind of sitting here, because at the moment here's the light frame, here's the bolt holes, one there and one there, and to be fair, you know, it's clear and that would work, but that light's too low. I want it to be more up here, so I need to move all of that back basically to make this happen. So that's what I'm working on. So all these little tweaks, they all take a fair amount of time. It's all quite fine clearances. So I'm kind of working on that at the moment. So in a fair amount of time, not much progress is going on. I need to get that front light in and on. I think that's kind of priority number one for me. And then I'll look at what's next. The clocks work, that's fine. Again, I'd probably go to a small one. It's the fuel gauge for me that helps. I don't think we have a reserve tank on here, so actually you need to have a fuel gauge. Right, I'm going to get that kind of all buttoned up so that we can move on, see where we go from there. So I'm getting bits and pieces done now. Front indicators are on. They're wired, but I'm not sure if they're wired correctly. I've put on new rear indicators just to neaten up the rear end. Now I've taken away the clock. It's just not going to work. The bracket's too massive. We can either fabricate a new bracket or buy a little one. I've already ordered a little one, and actually it has a fuel gauge on it. So as long as I can work out how to wire it, we'll have a nice new neat clock with a fuel gauge on it. I think that makes much more sense. We'll just put it up here. It's the same one I've used many times before. It makes sense. So I'm wrapping up for today. I'll be at the MCN live show tomorrow at the XL. I'll get some footage there, but nothing major. And then I'll be back at this build on Monday. I've got a few days off, or 2 days off next week, and we'll get back on this. You know, the majority of it's done. It will even pass an MOT. It doesn't need a speedo. It doesn't need a speedo to do your MOT, so even that's okay. Just needs to have everything else. The front brake lever here, I'm not sure how or why, but it's not right. It will probably need a replacement. I mean, unless it's been put on wrong, because it looks to me like it should be. I mean, obviously it should be sitting lower like that, and that's fine. I can reset it to do that, but then it's bent there. I mean, I can bend that out a bit as well actually, so I'm gonna have to play with that on the weekend. On Monday as well. And actually on Monday we should have a bike that's fairly roadworthy. Yeah, which will be pretty cool, I think. So yeah, that's it for now. I'll get this kind of continued on Monday, but I'll chuck up a little bit of footage tomorrow at the MCN motorcycle show in London at the Excel Centre.